Great. We have, my name is Yula, and we have our guest Yula as well. So there are two Yula here. Hi, Yula. Thank you very much for joining us today for the talk about homeschooling. Yula is a teacher with 40 years experience being a physics teacher for middle school, high school, and college. And today, Yula is going to talk about homeschooling because she is also a founder of her own homeschool educational environment. So today we're going to talk about how to move from idea to action, because I know personally, and me myself, I'm thinking about homeschooling a long time ago, but there is so lack of information. I don't know so many things about homeschooling, how it works, how kids eventually go to the college, how they apply if they don't take tests and exams through school, and all other different questions. So my first question, Yula, could you tell us about your background? How did you came up with homeschooling? Because you're a teacher yourself in public school. So why did you decide to start your own school for kids and help them with this type of education?
All right. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm very happy to talk about homeschooling because I truly believe that this is the best option for the kids and for the parents. Well, I've lived a long life, so my life story is long. I will just reduce it to my last parenting experience because, well, people can have kids at a time, 3 kids at a time. I had 1 kid every time. I have 2 total, and I had 1 kid at a time with a difference of 25 years. So my first child, who is now about 48.
48?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, really?
She was not homeschooled. So she went through traditional education and she turned she turned out pretty well. She's very independent, responsible for her family. She handles this life pretty well, and she can be very proud of herself, and I'm very happy to watch that. With our younger child, we came to the United States in 2002. She was 4.5 at that time. I went to work for a school district, and she didn't speak a word of English, so we placed her in pre-K. But by that time, she was a vivid, strong Russian reader. So she started reading English before she started speaking it, really. And within 3-4 months, she was talking and reading. And then she went to kindergarten and went through kindergarten still in the ESL group. By the time she entered 1st grade, she was graduated from the ESL program and doing pretty well. But then by some point in March, I don't know, it always happens in March. The school year starts fine, then things are great, then things are good, then they become normal. Then by March, they become boring. So once they became boring, I went to the school administration and asked them to test her out of 2nd grade and move her straight to the 3rd, which we did. Because I'm sorry to say that, but the 2nd and the 4th grade, they don't teach anything new, really.
2nd and 4th grade?
Yeah.
I thought the whole elementary school, no?
That's elementary. That's elementary. So the 2nd and 4th grades are mostly content empty. They are used to catch up on what was taught, to catch up every kid on what was taught in 1st grade and in 3rd grade. So we skipped 2nd, went to 3rd, and things went took the same route again. It was, for a couple of weeks, it was hard going from first to third. Then it was good. Then it became great. Then it became normal. Then by March, it became boring. I went to the school administration again and asked them to test her out of fourth grade. They weren't very happy about it, but they did it. And so she went from third to fifth. And she was out of elementary school at 9.5. And there was no way. I knew middle school very well. There was no way I was placing a 9.5 years old into middle school. For at least a semester, I wanted those teachers to be able to get through this thousand of new sixth graders and to be able to notice a 9 years old on their campus. Well, to make the long story short, we decided to homeschool for a semester. We ended up never going back to school. That was it. With that said, for 4.5 years, we didn't test her at all in anything. Then we decided that it's like, we've been at home for 4.5 years. It's like kind of time to figure out where we are. So we took an SAT. She was 12. We took an SAT, and then we took her to the local community college to take a placement test. She ended up with a very high score on SAT, and she scored into college algebra and college English.
At the age of how old?
By the age of 13. Yeah.
13. Oh my God.
So at 13, she started taking college classes online.
Wow.
And at 14, she went 14.5. She went to the university.
Wow.
She has.
Unbelievable.
She's now completing her master's degree in astrophysics and moving straight into doctorate program. That's where we are.
Wow. Cool.
Every time I tell this story, somebody jumps right up and says, "Well, you have a genius." No, I don't. No, I don't. I have been in education long enough, as you can imagine, way over 40 years. And I studied as a student. I studied with one genius, and I taught another one. End of story, period. Geniuses are rare, let me tell you.
Yeah.
My children are not geniuses, not even close, not anywhere close. So my kids are normal kids, pretty capable academically. They have no developmental issues, and which we just got lucky with. At pretty early age, they become, we have succeeded. I want to say we succeeded, but it happened that both of my kids grew up very independent, sometimes pretty opinionated. They know what they want. And because they know what they want, the rule of the family was, if you want it, you make it happen. So they made it happen. Whatever they want, they make it happen. They're independent financially. They are independent emotionally. They are independent life-wise. I'm a happy mother. Let me tell you this.
So you have 2 kids?
Yes.
So at what age the second one who was homeschooling, at what age she completed, she got her first degree, bachelor degree?
She got her first degree at 19.
19. And doctoral?
No, we are still in the process to doctorate.
I see.
She's now 24 because after she graduated with her bachelor degree, and she did a double major, She graduated with a degree in computer science and applied mathematics. She decided that she wants to change her major for a graduate program. So she took a year, and to go from bachelor to graduate program, you need to take a test, which is similar to SAT as a general. It's called GRE. It's a general GRE. But if you are switching majors, you need to take not just the general GRE, but also a subject GRE. So she decided she wants to go into physics. And that meant taking a physics GRE. And she didn't have a degree in physics, and she didn't have enough credit hours in physics. So she had to pass it real well. So she took a year. And she is the only kid I know through my long teaching career in physics that sat down and actually mastered the theoretical physics by herself from the books.
Oh, but she has good advice as a mom.
No, we were completely out. My husband is also a physics professor. We helped her a little bit in her early physics classes, still when she was still in the bachelor program. We taught her some essential skills when she asked for that, but then we didn't interfere. So her going into master's program in physics was her choice, her job, her work, and her success.
I see. Yes, this is cool. This is a great example. So she cut 4.5 or even 5 years of school. She saved her time, her lifetime. Yeah. This is awesome. Yeah. So in general, could you please introduce what homeschooling is in general terms, and what benefits and what pros and cons it has comparing with traditional education in public schools?
All right. This is a very strong question, I would say, a very good one. And again, I can talk from my perspective, from my knowledge of public education, right? And from my experience and of homeschooling, and from experience of the families that I help to homeschool their children and that I mentor in the process of homeschooling. So these are, if you ask the children, you would get a different answer. It's a big difference if your child ever went to school or your child never went to school. These are two different homeschooling stories, very different. When you are switching, when you don't go there, you just have your experience of growth and development that you watch and facilitate and support. And if you can afford being at home with a child, you are really not running into any major issues. Not with a child. If a child is given an opportunity not to ever go to school and develop at her own rate, and we develop at different rates in different directions. The child may be ready to read, but might be not ready to deal with numbers, for example. In this school, they will make the child suffer through math, regardless. At home, you can wait. You can wait as necessary for the child to develop mental structures that are responsible for this kind of processing. So if the child never went to school, you don't really run into any major issues. And by the age of, I would say, 10 to 12, girls earlier, boys a little later, you will discover that your child has become an independent learner. Your child quickly understands what he needs to learn, what what they need to learn, what they want to learn, where to find it, and what it means to learn. And the major fear of the parents that they cannot be teachers of every thinkable school subject is eliminated right here. The child doesn't need you as a teacher anymore at all. And this is the major benefit of homeschooling, raising an independent learner.
How does it learn? How does he learn then? If there is no supervisor?
He knows what it means to learn. He can get a book. He or she can get a book, can get online, can find all the videos, can compare them, can critically analyze them, can choose the best, can compare them to the book. They acquire so many important life skills and learning skills through homeschooling, which they never, some of them never acquire at school. Because knowledge is dosed, knowledge is rationed, you know. You get this much, right? And you have today, and you get this much tomorrow, and you get this much next day. And if you miss today, nobody's going to wait for you. They're going to teach this next piece, and you are out, which never happens in homeschooling.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is the major benefit. The major benefit of homeschooling for adolescents, for teenagers, is that they can have enough sleep. You cannot overestimate the importance of enough sleep. I had children, I've seen children physically grow, especially boys, like by 1.5 feet over summer. This means the child is going to be sick all next year, because what happened in that growth is it's the bones that grew. The rest has been just stretched. His skin is hurting. His blood vessels are so thin that he doesn't get enough oxygen in his brain. He is sick all year before all of his internal organs catch up with his growth. In the homeschooling process, you can slow down. Let him sleep as much as he can. I've had kids sleeping in my class every day up to or down to lunchtime. It's not because they're bad kids, it's because they can't function. While a lot of parents will at this point tell me, but they don't go to sleep till midnight, till 2 in the morning. Exactly. Didn't you do the same? Didn't you fight with your parents about these evening hours that you wanted for yourself? You did. Why is that? Because our biological clock built into each and every one of us starts working differently once you hit the teenage years. And you need to respect that body life, because if you don't, if you try to ignore it, and that's exactly what public education, and not only public and private education, is doing. I see the school buses leaving my neighborhood 6:30 in the morning.
Yes, our bus is leaving at 7.
6:30. I am leaving my neighborhood at 6:30 to walk my dogs in the park. But I'm an adult, and this is my hobby. But making kids who whose only dream is to sleep now till 9 or 10, leave the house ready to learn at 6:30?
So I was saying that teenagers have different biological hours. So for example, if adults want to sleep, for example, if I miss going to sleep between 9:30 and 11:30, then it will be make more difficult for me to fall asleep after 11:30 p.m. Do you mean that teenagers have different biological hours?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are an
didn't know.
adult. You have been on this routine for years. The kid is just building his time frame for life.
Yeah.
When he's ready, when he or she is physically ready to handle the stress of getting up early because he needs to go to job, to work, and going to bed early because otherwise he won't be able to fall asleep and all that kind of nice stuff. He will handle it when he can. There is this old piece of common wisdom. When you want to grow a carrot, you put it in the ground and you don't do two things. Two things you never do. You don't pull on the greens to make it grow faster. And you don't dig it out every day to see how much it has grown.
But what about habit? What about they get used to this abnormal schedule?
Yeah, of course. This is beautiful. Thank you. Once we become parents, we totally lose common sense in regards to kids. We start behaving as if we ourselves were some exemplary teenagers that never did anything wrong, that never lied to their parents, that never skipped school, that never missed an assignment. That's not true.
We just repeat our parents in raising our own kids.
Yeah, but we all turned out okay, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We did. At some point. So this is my answer to your question about what if they build that habit? Did you build the habit of lying to everyone? To your bosses? Because you lied to your teacher saying that the dog peed on your homework?
Yeah.
No. Let them be kids. Let them live their life at the moment. They cannot spend every day of their life preparing for the boredom of adult life. Because what we are actually doing to them by putting them through the tube of public education, we are telling them, hey, look, this is what your life is going to be for the and then we are surprised why they don't want to mature, why they don't want to become adults. They're looking at our life. They don't want a life like ours. What's nice about it? I must, I have to. What's the fun? How is that a goal, to become this boring adult? So they see 6 times a day, they see 6 different adults that are telling at school, that are telling them how hard their work is, how much they work, how, and everybody is so serious. Everybody is so serious. There is no fun in that life. Come on.
I see. Yes, everyone is trying to teach them some structure, some routine in life, and but
they will learn it. Life is a tough teacher.
Yes, they will eventually, of course, sooner rather than later.
I was
Sooner or later.
45 when my youngest daughter was born, 45 and a half. My mom, who was over 70 at that time, thought she has a say in how I raise my young child. All right, I was 45 and a half. My other daughter was grown up and was having her own children at that time. My mom thought that she is in a good position to advise me on my parenting. Her major concern, and I was 45 and a half, I couldn't allow myself not to sleep through the night. So my baby was sleeping with me in my bed. All right. For months and years. And she only moved to her own room when we came here to the United States, when she was 4 and a half. Till that time, she was sleeping with me. My mom had all sorts of stories and advice about the fact that the baby was sleeping in her mom's bed, about building wrong habits, about this being dangerous, about hygiene, about her learning to sleep with her mom like forever. I was like, really? Have you seen one adult who slept with his mother till retirement? No. Let the kids be kids. Let them enjoy their childhood. And
together with the child, enjoy their childhood
and enjoy their childhood. They will never be as sweet as they are for you today.
Yeah, this is right. Yes.
Now, speaking of homeschooling, the spectrum of possible approaches is like continuous and enormous, from total unschooling, or what I would rather call free family education, to the so-called homeschooling by the curriculum imposed by the school district you live in. So this is the range. On one hand, and there is a range of possibilities in between. On the free family education end, you don't really have problems. You're just going with the child, helping them learn whatever they want to learn. You are not playing a teacher's role. You do not position yourself in front of your beloved daughter or son as a teacher of math, and next 45 minutes as a teacher of English, next 45 minutes as a teacher of this and the teacher of that. And if you do that, all that your child sees in your behavior is that old teacher that taught you when you were at school. He doesn't see his mom anymore. He sees that person you hated when you were in that class. So at this free family education end, you don't play any roles. You just live the life of the family, and the kids learn by your side. In some families, kids learn to read by the age of 3 or 4. In some families, kids learn, well, a pretty good chunk of math because parents are all into it. They engage the child in all sorts of measurements, all sorts of calculations, this and that. In some families, the kids know hell of a lot of history because the parents are fond of it and they're discussing it with the kids and all that kind of stuff. And you're just moving ahead. When the child, there is a misconception a widely spread misconception among parents that, well, there is a lot of mythology in parents' minds, but this is an important one. That the child needs to be busy every minute of their life.
Busy and disciplined.
Busy and disciplined. I'm busy and disciplined. And then we are amazed when we finally want them to want something, like choose a college. They don't want anything. They never learned to want anything. You were so proactive. You were dragging them from club to club to club to club to club, from one activity to another activity to another activity. You never let them experience boredom. And let me tell you that boredom for a child is the best teacher.
Oh,
That's where the
this is great,
creativeness, that's where the creativity comes out.
Mhm.
And this comes from the parents' opinion that if you let them do what they want, they will do nothing.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? That comes from our life of constantly busy and tired people, and our pressing desire for everybody to leave us alone. If everybody left me alone, I would just do nothing. The child doesn't have that pressure, or once the child is let out from under this pressure, the child cannot do nothing. They're doing something. And as a homeschooling parent, your job is trying to figure out what is it exactly, or most probably, your child is doing now. Because the ways of interpreting of children's behavior are numerous, and most of the time the parents are wrong about what their children are doing. I just talked to a mother the other day. Her daughter is 7, and the mother looked at me with these squared eyes, all horrified, and she said, "We have a huge problem." I was, "Really? The child is sick?" "No." "All right. The child has any big developmental issues?" "No." "What is the problem you're having?" And she looks at me and she says, "She is a liar." I'm like, wow, we're 7 years old. Oh, a liar? What is she lying about? And she goes, "For example, yesterday, she told her dad that I allowed her to take a candy, but I didn't." I'm like, that makes her a liar? That makes you a parent who doesn't structure the environment right. Does the child know exactly what she needs to ask for permission for and what she doesn't need to ask for permission for? Yeah. What belongs to the child in that house? Why does she have 7 years old, cannot decide for herself when to have a candy? Really? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Sorry, someone's calling. Okay.
The major fear of the parents is that they will have to become a teacher, or many teachers for that matter. They won't. They won't.
1 second, please. Пап, перезвони чуть попозже, сейчас не могу. Okay, sorry. So Yula, yes, this is so great that you share your point of view. This is I agree with everything you said, especially with the boredness. I also used to tell my 10 years old daughter when we take out some cartoon or some game from her hands, and she said, what I'm gonna do, it will be boring for me. And I always say that it's not boring. If it's boring for you with yourself, that it means that you are in bad company. So make a company for yourself.
That's a good one.
Make
That's
a
a
fun
good
company
one.
for yourself.
Yeah.
And regarding homeschooling, I was wondering because I was thinking that if you switch to homeschooling, the child who used to go to public school in the 4th grade, for example, I have to hire a lot of tutors, and so she would help her with the curriculum. So do they provide from public school? Do they provide guidance and
depending on what you want to do. If you want to homeschool, and this is what happened to the majority of people who switched to homeschooling during the pandemic. They all resorted to homeschooling as a temporary solution. And they all used this time of homeschooling to wait for the schools to reopen.
Yeah.
Those of them who really got on this curriculum very quickly understood that this curriculum was like nothing, and they can move. Their children are capable of moving forward like 2-3 times faster. And by the time the school year, their first year of homeschooling was over, they discovered that there is no point to return, because the school will place the child by age, and the child is way ahead with no visible effort. So the curriculum is not an issue. The curriculum of elementary school is not an issue at all. So if you if you are looking in the direction of the homeschooling, you need to first understand for the starting point, which end of the spectrum you want to go to. If you want to go to free family education as a family kind of adventure and enterprise, you don't care about the curriculum any more than your state really requires. And most of the states, what they really require is some math and some English, period, and a good citizenship. And forget it. And the Ministry of Education on every step has grade level requirements for every subject posted on their website, if you want to look into that. What you will find, though, that they look pretty much the same: 1st grade, 3rd grade, 5th grade.
What about middle school and high school, where
middle school is
empty?
Middle school is empty. Middle school, if you had a chance ever, and we don't have textbooks now, right? So we have, with all this advance of advanced technology, we don't see the books the kids go by. And we only have access to this much, right, of what the kids are studying at this time. Before, when they had books, you also didn't have access to all the books of the middle school. You only had access to the books of the particular grade. Only thing is that if you put together, like side by side, the 6th grade curriculum, the 7th grade curriculum, and the 8th grade curriculum, books, they will differ by about a chapter.
But I think it's made by specific by purpose that child should repeat the same material all the time in order to remember.
You want to eat the steak you ate already? You want to chew again and again on the stuff you have processed? The only outcome, the child has to move forward.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to move forward. When you are, all right, when you are in the hospital.
When I'm aware, excuse me?
Save God, you are in the hospital, or I am in the hospital, or anyone.
Okay.
For a time, like for a long time. And you are fed through IV, like for weeks. Nobody will ever think of bringing you a steak as your first meal. after you're taken off the IV.
Yeah.
Public schooling, education-wise, is similar, very much alike, to being under that educational IV for 12, 14, 16 years. And then you let them off the IV, and then you're telling them, all right, here are steaks and raw vegetables, go enjoy. And they're like, what is this, my Lord?
Yeah,
First, they can't move.
This is good comparison.
First, they can't move, being bedbound for 12 years, right? Second, their body is unable to process any of these challenges.
Yes, and we are present. So tell me, what do you want? What college? What career path? Tell me why you don't want anything. So and the parents get crazy. What to do? My child doesn't want anything.
Let them not want anything for a time. And here we come to a major, not obstacle, but kind of a scary thing parents run into when they decide enthusiastically, I mean parents, to switch to homeschooling and to go on free family education. And they're so excited about all the freedoms they're going to give their children. And the children are excited about not getting up early, not having to ask permission to go to the restroom, not having to ask permission to take a snack when they want, not being out of this horror story, all right? And then we put the child in front of us and we're like, okay, baby, now we are homeschooling. What is it you want to learn? And the child's face like,
I don't want to learn anything.
And this is the beginning of a very, very extremely important process, both for the children and for the parents, which is called deschooling. The child, all right, imagine you got food poisoned, right? Like real bad. You went through high fever, vomiting, all that nice kind of stuff. How much will you be able, again, to eat a steak right out of it? You wouldn't even look that direction.
Yeah.
So when you take the child out of school, you don't have to expect much excitement about learning. Right. Learning is boring. Learning is work. Learning is punishment. Learning is something the child has learned to avoid and the child acquired a long list of wrong study habits along the way of being at school. So now, after this school poison, you need to let the poison get out of the child's system. Leave the child alone.
For how long? What
Okay,
is,
in general, I would say in pretty optimistic scenarios, a month per year of schooling.
a month per year?
A month per year of prior
I
school.
see. I see.
So if your child started at preschool, preschool, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first, second, third, we are now, say, in fourth. All right, you have 5 years. You will have to wait till after Christmas, at least, before your child decides to open a book or go to some learning resource or do something.
Right. So he needs time to recall this natural desire to learn and investigate everything.
Yep.
What if she still doesn't want? I mean, she opens the book, she still reads some stories she likes, but if she doesn't want to, he needs to complete specific tests, right? By the end of each grade. I don't know.
No, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
No, check with your state. Check with the state. Check with the state requirements. In Texas, we do not have to take any tests.
I mean,
I know in Illinois, you don't have to take any tests. I know in some states, they provide financial support for homeschooling parents. And accepting that support comes with, okay, there is no free cheese in that mousetrap, right? So once you stretch out your hand for free cheese, look around for the mousetrap. So once you got for the cheese, they want you to test your child every year. If you don't take that cheese, if you don't reach to the mousetrap, you're free to go.
And what is bad in taking the test? So the child will test again.
Okay, several things are bad about taking tests. First, they're stupid. The tests themselves are stupid. Having been in education for this long, tests are just a part of the game. All right. You won't pull out a thermometer. They're a measuring tool.
Yes, the measuring tool, standards, and in order to apply.
Now look, you won't pull out a thermometer to take your temperature if you feel okay.
Yeah.
For no good reason would you line up your family every week or on a specific day of the year and take everybody's temperature.
No, of course.
Just for the sake of taking their temperature at a particular day. Right? This is one common sense. And then you need to take it on this particular day and you can't take it on any other day and all this nonsense comes. This is number one. If there is no need to test, you don't have, the public education system has to do it this way because it's built like a prison and it's run like a prison. And there is no way around it. When a public education system spends hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure that no 1 cent is spent out of the assigned category, with a whole bureaucratic stuff watching over that 1 cent going left or right. You can't expect it to see your child or to take your child into consideration in any way. Okay, there are kids who should never be tested till they are like out of teenage years because of the specifics of their emotional system, of their overall neurological status. We call it testing anxiety. Remove the test, there will be no anxiety. Hello.
Yeah, I got your point. people didn't realize that there is such disease as ADHD till they started to measure it. Of course, there are different levels and of
Well,
ADHD.
it's not that simple, but that's a topic for a different conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
The number of kids diagnosed at this time with different neurological issues and why we have so many, this is a different story, not for this conversation now. Because I am not a special ed educator. I work all my life. I've been working with neurotypical kids. It's a pretty wide spectrum. I can delve pretty deep into both ends of the spectrum. On some learning issues and disabilities, I don't even know if I can still use the term, and into the end of gifted kids. But my area is this whole big range of neurotypical kids. So I don't want to delve into specific areas. Though, of course, I have an opinion on that. That's
Julia, so returning to your child, your second child, what is her name, by the way? Your homeschool child. Alisa. So when Alisa started homeschooling from the very beginning?
From 9.5.
From nine? From 9.5. Yeah, 9.5.
She graduated from elementary, 9.5.
And so how did it go? Did you check with her all the time? How is she doing with homeschooling? Or you completely left her alone till she graduated?
All right. I was teaching other people's kids, as you understand. My husband, who was retired by that time, we are pretty old parents. So he already retired, but he was working from home. He had some doctorate students he was mentoring online. So she was at home. What was her day like? First, I need to say that the whole thing started, well, first, for the reason I already mentioned, we didn't want a 9.5 years old in a middle school campus. But there was also another reason, which wasn't like a big one. The kid came out of 9th grade saying that she hates math and she's scared of math and she just doesn't know what to do with it. Though she had an A, in class and this kind of attitude.
We have the same story.
So this was not happening in our family, all right? Me being a physicist, my husband being a physicist, this was unacceptable. This was like just not happening. So first thing they did, because he was staying at home with her, first thing they did, they spent a couple hours a day for several weeks to go through all the textbooks from middle school that I brought home. 6th grade books in science, 7th, 8th in science, all the pack from science, all the pack from math, all the pack from English, all the pack from this. And they went through these textbooks like page by page, chapter by chapter. And the kid was like, oh, I learned it in 3rd grade. Oh, this was in 5th grade. She has a good memory. She was like, oh, this is 3rd grade stuff. This is 5th grade stuff. So that was number one, they did. Math was the last set they went through. And she was going through the math books. And she was like, oh, I know this. I know this. I know how this is done. I know. By the end of this story, she felt pretty confident because she has gone through all these books for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and realized that she knows way over half of this stuff. Then from there, In the process, my husband figured out what is it she doesn't know, and what is it she doesn't understand, and what is it she cannot do. And from there, they went to their homeschooling agreement. And the homeschooling, and this entrance into homeschooling was practically a deschooling process for her. So it actualized what she already knew. It opened up what is it she has to eventually probably know. And they got to the point where they made a decision, and the decision was 2 hours of math every day, rain or shine, doesn't matter, and 2 hours more of whatever you want to learn. That was our homeschool curriculum for years. 2 hours of math, regardless. And
daily, right? 2 hours daily.
Daily. And 2 hours of whatever you want to learn. Whatever you want to learn included in different years reading books like Encyclopedia of All Things. What is everything made of? Books of this nature. Then it included learning Korean language, learning Latin, learning Greek for a semester, learning this, learning that. All right. Then it included, in spring, it's usually included planning our big traveling project. So we took her to Europe every summer, and she had to, so we decided which countries we want to visit, and it was her job to find out the places she wants to see. And to make that itinerary, and to learn about that stuff and tell us about that stuff so we know what to expect. And she had to figure out how long it takes to get there, and how much money it costs to get there, and how much money it costs to stay there, and how long we need to stay there, all that kind of planning. So that was our homeschooling process for almost 5 years.
I see. So your husband actually helped her, for example, with 2 hours of math, right? It wasn't something she
it was for the first, I would say, semester, maybe for the first year. He was actually making, well, it all started like as a systematic learning, like after 4 or 5 months, about Christmas. What he was doing was making assignments for her. And it was a page of assignments that she had to complete. And she could come to him. She had either to report to him about the completion in 2 hours and explain what she did and why she did this and how she did that, or she could come to him and ask for clarifications or any questions. But he was working with her on, I would say, major mathematical skills important for both math and sciences. So it was about graphing, about unit conversions, about this kind of stuff, about using equations, about recognizing different types of equations, about solving systems of equations, this kind of stuff. And from there, she moved, of course, to high-level algebra and pre-calculus and then calculus. But what we did, but by that time, she was taking classes in college. So she was ready. She was mentally ready. She was psychologically ready. She was ready to handle this level of material. And she was mature enough to handle college work. We started with 2 classes per semester. First semester, it was 2 classes. Then it was 3. And last semester in community college, it was 5 classes. And then she went to university.
Mm-hmm. I see. So, but you, both you and your husband had expertise and knowledge of high school level, for example, topics, math topics. What if parents doesn't know that and can't help with child and doesn't have a extra budget for a lot of tutors?
All right. This is what I'm going to say. I don't want to be rude at all. No, I'm quite a rude person, but I don't want to be rude at all. And that's what I'm going to say. All right. Have you all been to school? Yes. Have you, I'm talking to parents. Have you all been through all these subjects? Yes. There is nothing in the school curriculum that a human being cannot master. So you've all been to school. You've all spent enormous numbers of years on learning this. And now you're telling me that you can't help your child learn that? Not only that, but you're telling me that after years of school, you haven't learned none of that. And that's why you're putting your child in the same environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hoping that the result will be different. It will not. You cannot do more harm than public education has done to you.
I see. I see. Okay. Yes, I got you. This is a game that we are playing with the kids.
Yeah.
Even if we don't have
and look at this from the kids' perspective. All right. Look at this from the kids' perspective. Mom is saying that she doesn't know none of this and none of this and none of this, and she hasn't learned any of it at school. Now she wants me to go there and do the same.
Or mom say, oh, I don't remember. Let's Google it together.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. I don't remember is fine.
Yeah.
I don't remember is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I never understood it and I did nothing to understand it. That's bad. And now you go to that very place and you do the same.
Yeah.
And the kid is like, really? Really? I was going through this like every day with my school children, with my school students.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. T, how come you know chemistry? I was like, I went to school. All right. How come you revised my essay? How do you know English? I went to school, baby. So
but we did it so long time ago.
You are 3 times younger than I am. Don't even get started.
My memory is very short.
Don't even get started.
But what about what I was gonna ask? So your child, was it your child's desire, Alisa's desire, to switch to homeschooling, or you just offered her this option?
Once in 5th grade in March, as I said in the beginning, once I got that first bell ring, when I was taking her from school home from school, and I asked how was school, and she said boring. I said, oh yay! All right, we need to get rid of this, and we spent the remaining half a year or whatever, 3-4 months, negotiating and talking about the benefits and this and that and how that will work. And at the same time, our friends had a senior, a high school senior in IB program. The poor boy was working his butt off. He was so jealous of her. he was so jealous. She was allowed to stay home.
Mm.
She was allowed to learn at her own pace. She was allowed to learn what she wants to learn. He was so jealous.
So she was studying math, and then 2 hours, whatever she learns till SAT exam.
Yep. Till SAT and till college placement.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Okay, Julia. So I got so I like most of all I like the approach to learning that by school education kids lose their learning desire. This is very important because when we get adults, we don't know how to learn, and I meet personally, even among our relatives, a lot of adults, they don't accept any. I know everything already. I'm done. I know everything. They don't listen people they would like to become, like, for example. And yes, and this is such even this comes from school age, it turns out.
Of course.
This is very interesting approach. Yes,
I want one thing. If I'm getting it right, we're about to be done. So I want to say that I know it's scary. I have been through this with so many parents. I know it's scary, but believe me, it's only scary for a short period of time. If you need somebody to support you during the scary time, I'm here. Get in touch with me. We'll talk about it. We'll work it out. If you need mentoring, reach out. If you need mentoring through the transition period, reach out. We'll find a way. My group and my experts will find a way to help you.
Yes,
you're not alone. About 6 million of American kids are studying at home today.
Yes, I know it's very popular in the USA. Okay, great. So we will share your website and Facebook page under this.
I only need to say an important thing because people will get there and they will get confused. The Facebook page, Education Without Children, without children, Education Without School, is a group for Russian-speaking parents across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in Russian as of now. We will most probably, we will start translating a lot of things there into English.
But we will share your personal page, so people who are interested, who are non-Russians and who will be interested, you can still consult them and mentor.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, great. Okay, this is awesome, Julia. Thank you so much for dedicating your Saturday morning for this interview. This was great. I was really enjoying the process. Thank you so much. And we'll stay in touch then. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.